Yay! Yay! Here
Oh,
we
wait,
go.
wait,
Here we go.
wait.
All right, there's a cheer.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Fox 411 and also a 98.7 Kiss Country neighborhood news event that we do here from time to time. There's Jay down in the kitty corner from down there by me. He's got
Yeah.
a nice microphone there
I
in the
don't
studio.
want to. I don't want to look like that guy.
Okay. Great. Hey, Halloween's coming up. You could dress up like him, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Can I fit into your uniform?
Oh, yeah.
You think so? Okay.
Sheriff Kevin Pals is joining us along with Mary Ingham of Crisis Intervention. It is Domestic Abuse Awareness coming up in the month of October. By the way, this is all brought to you by CG Public Health. We thank them very much. You can see them up in the corner there, cghealth.com. Easy way to access their information. Sheriff, how are you?
I'm doing great. Who couldn't be great? Sun's shining. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Haven't run into you lately.
Most people appreciate that.
Well, trust me, I do too.
Well, he's got good reason not to go after us. So
That's right.
we're really, the older we get, the nicer we get, and the more rules we follow.
There you go.
Yeah,
Isn't that the case all the time, Sheriff?
What's that?
The older we get, the better we get, the nicer we get, the more we learn.
That's right.
And
that is a fact, actually.
Yeah.
Huh. We get a little wiser too.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we get to see him once a month, usually for the Crime Stoppers meeting that comes in. But we missed you last time.
Yes.
I hightail it. I go out of here.
Yeah, that's right. Mary, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. How's what's going on with crisis intervention these days? Obviously, we're going to get into our talk about the awareness for next month here, but how's crisis intervention doing?
We're doing well. Every day is a little bit of a different day for us, but every day we are connecting with individuals and families in North Iowa that are dealing with some type of violence in their life. Our staff is staying super busy. We respond to people by phone. We go out and meet with people in person, which is fun and exciting now.
Mm-hmm.
Not the reason we're meeting, but it's good that we can meet in person.
Right.
So we're staying very busy.
So, Mary, let me ask you this about that. How is it funded? How do you keep the doors open? It could be because it's free for people to come in.
Yes. About 85% of our funding comes from competitive federal and state grants.
Okay.
These are grants that we apply for every year. Our largest funding stream is a federal grant called the Victim of Crime Act grant. And I'm not going to do a 20-minute budget presentation.
Right.
But the neat thing about,
I
could. Yeah. The neat thing about that funding stream is it's all funded by fines that criminals pay. There's no tax dollars supporting that work. So the easiest way to say that criminals keep our doors open.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, you like to say it's a good thing, but really you like to not have that.
Correct.
Possible.
But as long as we're needed in the community, I would just assume that criminals are keeping our doors open instead of good taxpayers that are doing the right thing. And then about 15% of our budget comes from local donations. That's, United Way of North Central Iowa, individuals, churches, groups, really wherever we can find it.
All right. Well, getting back to the reason why you're there to save people.
Absolutely.
And I would hope that is a continued success that you have. Yes, it's an ongoing issue. I know we're going to talk about Domestic Abuse Awareness Month, but this is, to me, people need to be aware of this all the time. If you see something, say something type of thing, because, is it more than 9 times out of 10 the victim doesn't want to talk?
Absolutely. And that is one thing that I have seen change significantly. I've been doing this work a little over 30 years. And, when we started this, it seemed like we were the only ones worried about it. Law enforcement responded to domestic abuse calls, but, their approach was different than ours. And today, I really do think the community sees it as a community problem. I think 30 years ago, people thought, oh, this is a family issue. This is something that only impacts women. But today we know, just like the sponsor of this is a public health issue. This isn't a woman's issue. This isn't this only happens to these people. This is truly a public health issue.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people think that it's all about the women. There's actually men that get abused as well.
Absolutely. And we provide the same services. And I think that's a myth that people have, is that we're only here to serve women. We serve men, women, teenagers, children, retired people, toddlers, whoever is being victimized. We're there for those individuals.
Sheriff, what's a typical situation that, I mean, you and Mary, I don't know, you probably see each other, or at least talk to each other a lot, and on any given month, any given week, or whatever. But can you kind of role play, or not role play, but just can you kind of play by play the average situation when it comes to domestic abuse?
Well, obviously, from the law enforcement point of view, we get it through phone calls or some tip that'll come in. And we have worked closely with Crisis Intervention, Mercy One, Adult Probation, Parole. What are some other agencies, Mary? There's some others. We've all worked together to have a common response for all law enforcement in our county. So whether you're in Mason City, Clear Lake, the Sheriff's Office, or Rockwell, all law enforcement agencies work together with the same protocol. So we follow the same rules. And part of that rule is to call someone from crisis intervention, because we want to serve the victim and the victim's family. And so that's one great way to do that, is to get them involved right away.
Now let me ask you this too, Sheriff, and Mary, get ready for this too. But are people more apt to call the sheriff's department when something like this is going on, or do they skip the law enforcement and go right to the crisis intervention center?
Most call crisis intervention.
Do they?
And to be honest, a lot of people are afraid to call us because they don't want necessarily their loved one put in jail. And not all times is that necessary either. But by Iowa law, if we're involved and there's probable cause, and we know that abuse is taking place, we have to do mandatory arrest, which also it is a safety thing. But then the good thing when the law changed in 1996, it took the victims out of making the decision to put my boyfriend or my girlfriend in jail, and it put the responsibility on law enforcement. So let us take the heat for being the bad guy and putting that person in jail. So you can keep the victim as a victim, and hopefully, and a lot of times these relationships, not everyone that gets in a domestic situation, their relationship dissolves. A lot of times they come back together. So it's a good way to let them take the pressure off them being a victim and let their relationship heal with some professional help.
Now I got to ask here. Let me ask one question here, because you're on that talking that way. What have we learned locally? We've all seen this Gabby, the whole situation going on. What can we learn locally about that national story?
Well, without judging other law enforcement, because we only have the facts that the media have shown us.
Right.
In Iowa law, if that situation happened again and there's a victim that said that they were assaulted in some fashion, pushed, shoved, smacked, whatever you can imagine, some physical violence, and we see evidence of that physical violence, in Iowa, we make a mandatory arrest. Now, we don't know the whole interview that she gave to law enforcement.
Right.
A lot of times victims do not want their abuser arrested. So that's why Iowa law was changed that way. So that it, like I said before, it takes it out of the victim's choice. It really shouldn't be their choice. They've just been victimized either. And obviously most assaults that take place, it's not the first time. There's the emotional abuse, the
Right.
bad talks, all the derogatory things that you can imagine in life that people do to each other. That's taken place. So there's already damage done.
And you kind of wonder if, hopefully, you hope every situation that ends in domestic abuse could have been prevented somehow. Question for you, Mary. Do you get those threat calls? Nothing's happened yet, but you just, somebody just feels like something might happen, and they call you out of a threat. I don't know. Maybe Sheriff, you both can answer that question.
I'll let Mary go this time.
We get quite a few calls of people just kind of wanting to talk about their relationship. Is this normal in a relationship? Is this a warning sign? Is this dangerous? And I think those are really good conversations to have. And I think as humans, we're one of the only animals that don't trust our instincts. And that's often when bad things happen. It's usually our gut is telling us something is wrong, and it's usually right. So we do get calls from people early on, maybe in a relationship. We're more often to get calls from family members and friends saying, my sister's acting differently now. She's dating this new person, or my brother seems like he's being controlled by his new partner. And those are a lot of the calls we get. For years, we used to pride ourselves as being the first responders, along with law enforcement. And every year we get a little brighter, which is good. And we've realized a few years ago we aren't the first responders. The reality is the moms and dads and brothers and sisters and coworkers out there know about bad relationships long before we ever find out, long before law enforcement is called. So, the more we can educate just normal people, the better we can be, because it's hard to pick up the phone and call our crisis line. It's hard to pick up the phone and dial 911. It might be easier to talk to mom and dad or a coworker. And so that's where we're really trying to build more community relationships so that everyone can be a supportive person.
So obviously this kind of thing happens on a daily basis. So it's not Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So when do you guys take the calls, or do you got somebody on call 24/7? What's the deal there?
Our phone lines are answered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we do have staff available throughout our service area to respond to, we do immediate response after there's been an arrest, or if people need to get to safe housing for the night or a couple nights, we can assist with that. So we have staff on call 24 hours a day.
Okay.
So let's talk about the month of October then. What are you guys doing for this domestic awareness, this abuse awareness?
The North Iowa Domestic and Sexual Abuse Community Coalition is sponsoring their annual Remember My Name event. This is an event that we held every year to honor the memory of Iowans that have been killed as a result of domestic violence.
Okay. Sheriff, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah. Well, then Friday, it's a week from this Friday in October, October 8th from noon to 1. We're going to have a program. We're going to have a free lunch, light lunch for everyone. And then we're going to have members of law enforcement or our coalition are going to read the names of the Iowa victims, and then the local stories about that victim will be read out loud. And then we'll have law enforcement tie ribbons, or the victim's family or friends tie ribbons on a tree to remember their name.
How many?
Good event.
Just curious, because I'm sure a lot of people know how many names from Sarasota County. Do you know?
We don't have it broken down by county.
Okay, I just wondered. Yeah.
For example, the Iowa Attorney General's office has been tracking domestic violence related homicides since 1995. Since that time, there have been 236 adult women murdered, 45 adult men, and then 67 bystanders. And the majority of the bystanders are children under the age of 18, but it also includes some law enforcement, other family members, truly just someone innocently standing by. So it certainly has a large impact.
Yeah, I got a question too about, Monday through Friday, things like that. Is there a time in the week that you see an increase or more active on the calls, or Mary or Sheriff?
On our end, we see a higher call volume on Monday morning and Friday afternoon. And I think for Friday afternoon, it might be things have been escalating all week, and I think things might explode tonight, so I need a plan.
Sure.
And for those calls on Monday, usually there was a rough weekend, and okay. I need some help now.
Right.
And ours are usually weekend nights, or anytime that we have extended warm weather, because the use of alcohol and other drugs increase with warmer weather.
are coming into cooler temperatures, so hopefully it slows down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the other way too, even with that saying, once we start shutting our windows, especially those that live in towns, the neighbors will not be hearing all that abuse that takes place either. So then there's going to not necessarily the abuse is cut down or stopped. It's just less reportable because the neighbors aren't calling it in.
Sure. Where can we find more information about this on October 8th then? Do you have a Facebook event, anything like that? Yeah.
There, we have a Facebook event on the North Iowa Domestic and Sexual Abuse Community Coalition Facebook page. I know that's a mouthful.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And for people that can't attend the event, we will be live streaming it on Facebook. So people can attend from their desk or home or wherever they are.
Sure.
Yeah. And we'll be sharing that on our Facebook pages, all the law enforcement agencies, and I know Crisis will share too. So
yeah, so you can if you can't remember all of that, of course you can go back and play this over again. Go back about 30 seconds, you can catch all that,
Right.
and all that.
Well, that's a nice thing about the video that it's up and you can go watch it whenever you need to, and
that's right,
and get the information you need. So
right. We even put it in podcast form, audio wise too, for the people that are into podcast stuff. Not really off the subject, but Sheriff, how you doing on enough personnel, to cover things like this? Are you still are you always have a job opening type thing, or what's going on with all that, since we have a country that's really lacking of people wanting to work?
It's becoming a problem now. So in the last several months, we've had some jail staff and some dispatch staff turnover. So for an example, 20 years when we used to hire and have openings, we'd have 20 to 40 apps. And I think we're getting under 10 most times we have job openings. So it's really dropped. So obviously all law enforcement nationwide is looking for employees, and I think the only thing that we're going to be able to offer people is just more money. I mean, that's the only thing you can do is throw money at people, and they'll take a bite at it. But we are really looking for people in careers, not just a job.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's part of the problem. We got a generational thing going on too.
Well, that's why we appreciate you and the front lines here. And Mary, how about you guys? I mean, you're always looking for volunteers, I would think. And is it both? You're looking for employees and volunteers both?
We're looking for employees and volunteers both. And that's a very real thing. The work that we do is emotionally draining. When people are on call for a week at a time, work's taking a big chunk out of your family life, your personal life. So we're struggling to fill positions too.
I can see you both never leave anywhere. You always have the phone with you. I mean, because you never know, right? I mean, I can see you guys both even on vacation having that phone, because you gotta,
He doesn't answer. He doesn't answer it when I call him, though, Harry.
No, I'm getting better on vacation now. I don't do it anymore. I've got very capable staff. They can handle it without me.
Do you find, Sheriff, is there the things that are going on across the country? Are you finding people that maybe were in bigger cities want to come down to a smaller community and still stay on the force, but just don't want the population size?
Yeah, we haven't seen that locally yet, but I'm assuming that's going to be happening soon.
Because it's got to be hard to just walk away from a career that you've been in and go, man, I got to. This is what I love to do.
Yeah.
And I just don't feel it fits my career path right now, being in a big city. And I'm going to go live in a small town.
Yep. I agree. I think we'll see that. Just haven't happened yet.
Yeah. Give it another year. Seems like it took that long for everything to kind of start to affect here.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, just to kind of wrap things up here, Mary, can you just speak to those that might need your services, and what would you say to that the victims out there, or the ones that are just they're thinking a threat or whatever that might be occurring? Tell them what to do.
The first thing to do is to talk to someone. Pick up the phone, call our 24-hour helpline at 1-800-479-9071. Or if you're like me and you message to somebody, people can contact us through our Facebook page, through our website. Those aren't monitored 24 hours a day, so they aren't the best place to reach out in a crisis. Our helpline is the best place in a crisis, but the first step is reaching out. We have kind-hearted,
Say
compassionate people.
something. Say
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
And everything you tell us is completely confidential. So give us a call. Let us help. We're here to listen.
Mary, as always, it's great to see you. Sheriff, it's not always great to see you. It just kind of depends on where we're at. And when we're this far apart, we're good.
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah. Yeah. Harry, I give the law enforcement a lot of good, and Sheriff knows this because I've given him a hard time. But there's no.
Well, I used to give him a lot of hard times, so
you get to know him pretty good. But
much better now.
Yeah. But now I lost my track of thought what I was even trying to say, Harry.
Yeah.
Well, you're giving law enforcement a bad time, but you don't really mean it in a bad way.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I've got a lot of people from, on the sheriff's department, the local police departments in areas, and it's like the when you're at recess when you're a younger kid, when the girl comes kicks you in the shin, she only did it because she liked you. I give you a hard time because I like you.
Yeah.
And I appreciate what all law enforcement, firefighters, and EMT and everybody in the front lines do for our communities here.
Yeah.
God bless you both, man, for everything you do and for
Yeah.
the community and everybody. And gosh, for anybody listening, listen, if you need help, just reach out.
Yeah.
Just like you said, Mary, just talking to somebody, a good friend, a neighbor, goes from there. And then I think it's I've learned through recovery that it's not really good to it's people have a tendency to always sympathize, but what's more important is action. Rather than taking the time out to sympathize with someone, hey, what can we do here? What can I do? Let's get this thing worked out and settled. And you need a professional to talk to, and that's what the folks are there for. And I know doggone well that Mary, you get a call and you got to forward it. Oh, you better talk to the sheriff. Sheriff, you get the calls and you better talk to Mary. I mean, it goes back and forth.
Sure does.
Yeah. And when you both can, we better go talk to Harry and Jay.
That's the last thing they want to do is talk to me or Harry.
Right.
You know what I found out the older I get, I just say what I say and I don't care.
No.
I'm like my grandpa. Isn't that bad?
All right, Jay, go ahead and wrap us up.
Well, it's the neighborhood news and with the Kiss Country neighborhood news and the Fox 411. We do it, try and do it about every week just to kind of give community updates of what's happening. And this is an important month that's coming up in the month of October. And it's all brought to you by CG Public Health. So thanks to those fine folks there for being a sponsor of this video cast. And one more thing too, Sheriff and Mary, more so Sheriff, is my birthday next week. So don't forget.
Nice.
Yeah. So
No,
I don't want a ticket for anything. I just want to,
hey,
a call.
You know what? This guy, he left the other day and he's got this big red Jeep, I mean, that's this big red Jeep, right?
That's borrowed.
And a gal came by after he left, about an hour after he left. We thought it was Jay again. It was a big red Jeep, but on the back wheel, it says Jeeps are for girls.
Oh.
Yeah, I wasn't impressed at all. Yeah, but you know what? It was one of those, because there's a manly looking Jeeps and then there's girly looking Jeeps. And this one looked like a girly Jeep. So it didn't have the big tires, didn't have a lift. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right. Guys, thank you so much. Hey, make sure you put Friday, October 8th on your calendar, everybody. And thanks again, Sheriff and Mary. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
See